Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Dyvonne and I'm going to share with you how to make these. They're chocolate kiss blossoms. These are the ingredients that we're going to be using for our cookies today. We've got our flour, our sugar. I'm using unsalted butter, my 2 eggs at room temperature. I've got some dusting sugar as well that we're going to use for them. And in the description box below, I will have a list of ingredients so you can make these chocolate kiss blossoms. Now, first what I'm doing is I have some nice soft butter and I'm using unsalted butter. And so I'm adding that to my stand mixer. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer, you can definitely make these cookies using a hand mixer or either just freestyle mixing. So in my mixer bowl, I put in 1 1/3 cup of regular granulated sugar. And then to that, we're going to be adding some eggs. Now, when I do the sugar and the butter, I go ahead and cream those together. Now, we're just going to be using the egg yolks, and we're going to save the egg whites. So we're not going to be putting the egg whites in the cookie. Now, in the description box below, I'll have a link to my forgotten cookies that I made over the holiday season. The forgotten cookies, they are so good. It requires just using egg whites, some sugar, vanilla, and some chocolate chips. They come out so good. You can also add pecans. And what's nice about those forgotten cookies, they're also gluten-free. And so I will have a link to that video in the description box below. I also have a special treat where I also made some chocolate forgotten cookies, and those came out wonderful, y'all. You'll be able to find that recipe in the description box as well. Once we've creamed together the butter, the sugar, and the egg yolks, we're going to add some vanilla. Now be sure to shake your vanilla because the vanilla sometimes, I notice, depending on the vanilla, sometimes it can settle at the bottom. You'll have a little bit of settlement, and so be sure you want to make sure that you shake your vanilla. And we're putting in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, I love these chocolate kiss blossoms. They are the sister cookie to the peanut butter kiss blossoms. And these are right on time for Valentine's Day. You can also make them for Easter or for St. Patrick's Day. And so these cookies are great because if you have your sweetheart or your loved one or your kids, they can't have peanuts or peanut butter. This is a great cookie to have because we still get that blossom effect by using the candy kiss like we would if we were making the traditional peanut butter cookie. So in my bowl, I put in 2 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour. Now to that, we're going to add some regular salt, and I'm using just regular table salt, and we're going to put in 1/2 teaspoon of regular table salt. Now in addition to that, we're going to put in our cocoa, and we're going to be putting in 2/3 of a cup of cocoa. And I'm using a Dutch blend cocoa powder. Now if you can't find the Dutch blend cocoa powder, you want to use the Hershey's Special Dark cocoa powder, not the unsweetened one. You want to use the Hershey's Special Dark cocoa powder, or either they'll have Hershey's Special Dark cocoa powder Dutch blend. Either one of these 3 that I mentioned is just fine. Now in the description box below, I will have that notation of the different cocos that you want to look for when you get your cocoa powder to make these cookies. Then I use my wire whisk to blend the flour, the salt, and the cocoa powder together. You can use a wire whisk like I'm using, or either you can use your fork. And then I just take it by 1/3 cupfuls of the dry mix and I add that to my blender. The reason why you want to just do it a little bit at a time, so you got about half in before you add the rest of it, is because cocoa powder is very drying, and along with that and the flour, if you put it all in at one time, you're going to have a hard time kind of blending in that butter and the flour and the cocoa powder. It's going to be really hard, especially if you're going to be freestyling it, hand mixing it, or if you have your hand mixer, it's going to get tough to mix the dough. And so you just want to go ahead and take your time and put a little bit in at a time. So this is what our dough is looking like. If you have a little bit of dry dough at the bottom, if you have a little dry dough at the bottom, you want to use your spatula or either a spoon, and you want to press any dough that's at the bottom that seems kind of dry. You want to press that into the rest of the dough to really get it nice and moist. Just like I'm doing there, I'm just kind of pressing to make sure that I have a nice cohesive ball. Then I'm going to go ahead and put our dough in the refrigerator, and we're going to let it stay in the refrigerator for just about an hour up to 2 hours. If you are doing your dough ahead of time and you're going to have your dough rest overnight in the refrigerator, what you want to do is your dough is going to be very firm. So when you go to take your dough out, if you're doing it for more than 2 hours in the refrigerator or overnight, you're going to want to let your dough sit out for just a little bit until it's more pliable and easier to roll into balls. So I have my cookie sheet. I'm actually going to be making half the cookies today. I'm going to make half the cookies tomorrow. And so on my plate, I have some regular sugar. I have some pink sanding sugar and also some red sanding sugar. And this is all for Valentine's Day. And so I'm going to be using my scooper. My scooper that I'm using is the 1 tablespoon scoop measure. Now, once you scoop your dough, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and take your dough. If you have any little cracks that are in your dough, you want to press those together. Then I use the palm of my hand, and this is also really great for the kids to do. You just use the palm of your hand and you want to roll your dough into a nice round ball. Once you've rolled into the nice round ball, then you take your dough and you roll it in your sugar. And this is where you can get really creative with your chocolate kiss blossoms, because you can roll it in the white sugar like I'm doing, the pink and red for Valentine's. You can do pink and green for Easter, or pink, green, and yellow and blue. You can also do green for St. Patrick's Day. You can also use different little sprinkles as well and roll it in the sprinkles versus rolling it in the sugar. Now, while I'm doing this, I have my oven preheating on 350 degrees, and our cookies are going to bake in our oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes to 12, up to 12 minutes. It's important that you do not want to over bake the cookies. They are done right around that 10 minutes up to 12 minutes. I like to check them at around 8 or 9 minutes just to kind of see how they're doing in the oven. And when baking up chocolate cookies or darker cookies, because we can't really see when they're brown per se, and so what I like to do is once I can smell that chocolate, that chocolatiness aroma coming from the oven, as well as they've puffed up, and I look at the time, and that's when I know, okay, these cookies are just about done. So our cookies went into the oven. They are out of the oven. Don't they look so cute? And we haven't even put our little Hershey Kiss on them yet. They have puffed up nicely. They have a beautiful circular shape to them. And so what I do is I don't take them off the cookie sheet yet. What I do is I go ahead and take my Hershey Kisses while my cookies are nice and warm. You don't want them hot. So when they come out of the oven, wait about a couple of minutes, about 2 or 3 minutes, and then start putting on your kisses, because you don't want your kisses, your Hershey Kisses, to melt too much and start to melt down. And so you want the cookies warm, so that way the cookie adheres, the kiss adheres to the cookie, but you don't want it where it's so hot that it starts to melt the kiss. Also, when you go to press them, just kind of be gentle, and you're just kind of nudging it down. Your cookie will blossom out. If it blossoms out and cracks a little too much, just use your fingertips and just kind of press the dough back together if it's any really deep cracks. Well, these are our chocolate kiss blossoms. Now that we have put the kisses on there and the cookies have cooled a bit, now we take them off of our cookie sheet onto our cooling rack. And to store your cookies, what I do with my cookies is once they are totally cool, I go ahead and I put them in an airtight container. So I have a large airtight container that I can put the cookies in, so that way they can stay just like that and I don't have to stack them on top of each other. And I just store them on my countertop in my airtight container. Well, these are our cookies. They came out so good. This first bite's for you. Take your bite. Now I'm gonna take my bite. Y'all, this cookie, this is the chocolate lover's cookie. Well, I hope you give this recipe a try and share it with your family and your friends. That is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me in my kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up and click share, and share this video with a friend or family. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.